Greetings, Patrick here. 8 questions with, and glad you guys are here with us. Awesome to see. Awesome to see. I see one person waiting on us, two people waiting on us. So welcome to the show. We will be talking with screenwriter and film director Matt Patterson. He'll be here. But if you're into physical media like we are, oh boy, hold on here. Of course. All right. Never fails. Always good for a good time. Greetings everybody. Yeah, technical difficulties. Um, so Matt Patterson is a screenwriter and a film director. And okay, let's see if I can clear this out of here. There we go. Okay, streamer giving me all sorts of static tonight. Uh, hi, Mike. How are you? Um, I'm glad you guys are all here. Hopefully, you'll enjoy the show. Matt Patterson is one of my oldest friends in this crazy thing. When I started writing my blog, when I first got onto YouTube, before I became Have Cheetah Will View, I had a channel, and I got to meet Matt through. Once again, I met Matt through Dan Dozzle from Reject Films, and me and Matt hit it off right away. And Matt worked at Warner Brother Archives, and so Matt would send me movies to watch and review, and they're on my blog, my written blog, and you will see there are a lot of reviews. Um, and he and I like a lot of the same movies. So he was responsible for getting the archive off the ground. So if you're into physical media, this will be a show that you want to not want to miss. Um, so I mean, he doesn't work for Warner's anymore. Warner's Brothers downsized, but he did leave his legacy as he worked on over 3,500 films to get them out to the public's eye. There are 3,700 titles and ongoing that Warner Brother Archives do have. They used to have a dedicated website that you could order your movies from until they moved it to Amazon. Um, I personally think I personally think this is probably going to be the this is probably going to be how physical media will end up being sold. It will be sold by made on demand. You will go to you'll go to a studio's website. You will see a movie that you want. You'll order it. They'll make it up for you and then ship it out to you. Um, I mean, it makes sense. And made on demand means that they don't make, they're not printing up, 25, 30,000 copies of Barbie and only selling 15,000 of them. And then the other 15,000 just float around. Um, and they don't have to have an inventory. They don't have to have a catalog. They don't have to have, I mean, they don't have to have a warehouse where they're stacking up old movies that haven't sold. They're only going to be sold when you buy it. Um, Warner Brothers Archives is pretty fair pricing, actually. I mean, if you go over there and you look at their films that they offer, a lot of it has to do with Matt's input, I'm sure. The prices were pretty damn fair. Even new releases, they're all pretty much for a lot of the movies for under $25. Um, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't either. I sense that would be the only thing and the thing that Warner Brothers did, and was they did. I wish they would have a little better sale though. Like like they have the 4 for $44. You can get 4 movies for $11 a piece. I like that idea, but I really don't like the idea that you have to buy four because there's a lot of people out there that can't buy four. They could buy two at $11 a piece. That would be awesome. And if you let them do that, that'd be great. But to sit there and say, well, the only way you're going to get the $11 deal if you buy four, that's sort of defeats the purpose to me. You're looking to sell anything. I don't care. I don't care if you sell one or four, or eight. I just want something to go out the door. You know, that means because if it goes out the door, something's coming back through it. But if you turn around and sit there and say, well, you know, and that's the reason why Criterion. That's why you look at Criterion sales. Um, when they have their half off sales, everybody jumps for Criterion. Then you never hear anybody putting up a haul video. Look what I got. I just went and got Criterion movies and held up a bag of them. No one's doing that. Not at $40 a piece for a basic Criterion release, right? And that's DVD. That's not even Blu-ray release. And that's the reason why a lot of people don't do the Criterion other than the sales. Um, hey, evening, Don. How are you? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. So Matt has actually gone. He actually left Warner Brothers Archives. He got into the business. He was helping helping to launch Warner Brother Archives, and he was going around the country and he was promoting the archives. And then he got into movie making himself, and his new movie called Lunamancer is now out, and I watched it, and I thought it was very interesting. It was very well acted, a lot of atmosphere, a lot of science fiction, a little bit of superhero in it, not too much, just a little bit. Um, it was interesting to watch. I enjoyed it, and so we're going to be talking to him about that and the other projects that he's worked on. But of course, the big question I'll be having, I want to talk about Lunamancer. I really like the cast of the movie too. He got himself a really strong cast for Lunamancer, um, which is pretty cool. Um, so we'll be talking to him and then we'll see how he co-wrote the movie with Noah Mushai. I think I pronounced it right. And then as a co-writer, he had a lot of influence on who was to probably. I think you would think that he would have influence on who was cast. Um, so I mean that's a cool thing to see, and I'm glad that he bounced back. I'm glad to see him in the business. Super happy because he's one of the nicest people I know. And like I said, we talked an awful lot about movies. Like I said, he and I, we talked about black and white movies. We talked about um, we talked about the various, the various movies that were being made underneath the archive. And that included TV shows too. They also did TV shows as well. They sold sets. Um, I can't, I can't even begin to tell you how many movies and TV shows I got from Matt um, to review. I got a hell of a lot, and definitely my favorite studio to work with. But of course, when the archive shrunk down, that affected the small reviewers as well. So, yeah, some people still get serviced by Warner Brothers Archives because my footprint's so small. Though I was always reviewing, um, but my footprint was still small, and that's what they done. They shrunk down. They shrunk down their press releases. The people they service on press. So, hey, Chadwick, how are you? Glad you guys are here. All right. While we're waiting for Matt to come, I will let you know that tomorrow night we will be talking to Mr. Nas Red. Will be here. Film director Nas Red, along with his producing partner April. They will be here at 8 o'clock. We'll be talking about his movie, Hellacious. basically a tale of how to make a indie how to make an indie movie. Mr. Nas Red is one of the nicest people that we'll meet on here for sure. Really nice guy. Has overcome a lot. He loves independent filmmaking. His movie Debbie and the Devil is out on Tubi, and I saw clips of it, and it's right into everybody's wheelhouse. We're all here. We're all horror fans here. You'll love the movie. It's a lot of fun, and the documentary is one to watch as well. Especially if you have any sort of designs about making a film. Um, I would I really would highly recommend every director watch this film. Very much so. It could save you a lot of grief. Um, so Mr. Nosred will be here tomorrow night, and we'll be chopping it up with him. Next week, we're only doing one show next week. Next week, we're only doing one show. We'll be here on the 28th of December as we interview our good friend Jason the Nice One. Jason will be here with us on the 28th, and I'll be joined by special co-host Lady Valerie will be with us for that show. So we are going out of 2023 on a high note, interviewing Jason the Nice One and Lady Valerie. And then come January, we are back, or we are back hitting the ground running, and got a new calendar here to show off. New calendar. So starting off with on January 4th, which is a Thursday, we'll be welcoming back Spider Dombrowski. Will be back. We might have a guest along with that. We're trying to figure out if that's going to happen or not, but we definitely going to have Spider come here. Some of you may have saw the interview that he did with American Werewolf in New Jersey, and that's how I met Spider. I met Spider through Mike from American Werewolf in New Jersey. Shout out to Mike. Still a night. Even if he didn't like the Maniac remake. And Eddie, the closet A24 fan. I know that now. But he's still a night with us on IFC Midnight. But we got Spider Dombrowski will be with us for the first show of 2024, and we'll be talking about his new film Down Below, which has a really cool cast. All right, the doorbell just rang. That means our guest is here. Thank you for all coming in. Thank you who are here watching the replay. I appreciate you guys being here in any shape, way, or form. Let's go get our good friend Matt Patterson. Here we go.
Work. I like blaming technology for things.
Oh my God, StreamYard just kills me. It just kills me. Well, you know what I always say, it's not a week on 8 questions with if there isn't some sort of snafu. It has to have a snafu. If I have a week where there's no snafu, I start looking over my shoulder because that isn't normal.
I just look over my shoulder because people are trying to kill me.
I can't imagine that. Sorry. Even though I will have to say that when I did my reviews of the archive, we did identify Matt as our deep cover asset, MP. we never named him. Never named him. That's right. Thanks to our good friend MP, we got some cool stuff to review. So I mean, we never gave up you're sort of like the James Bond of press releases.
I was backstage in the backstage world of home entertainment, and part of the joy of my job was finding and connecting with people who would review our fine line of physical media, because as history has shown, it is a valuable format, and fortunately has been kept alive.
Yeah, well, no small part to you. I mean, you are major to me. You're one of the major reasons why we are, why we still have great physical media today with the Warner Brothers archives. And that's
Well,
like I explained to the chat. That's how you and I first met.
oh, absolutely. And unfortunately, due to several different waves of corporate restructuring, actually, it was like exactly 3 years ago, I was informed that I would be leaving. And then I think my last Warner Archive podcast that I was on was in April of 2021. So the the label continues on. My ex boss actually was rehired, and George Feltenstein is still there plugging away. But it's a greatly reduced number of titles that are coming through, but still a lot of good stuff is coming out of there, which
Oh,
is still doing well. And what they were also able to do was license. There's a lot more Warner titles that have been licensed to like Shout Factory and other third-party companies, which Criterion, which have all been really good releases. So it's good to see the masters are circulating.
yes, yes. Do underneath your watch, the Warner Brothers Archives released 3,700 films underneath your watch. You guided 3,700 releases.
I was
That's
I was part of a large team. I have I worked for a senior vice president who he largely did the programming, and then there were the technical guys who in the mastering group. But yeah, it wasn't that many people. Like we were much smaller, probably like you know like 10 to 20 total, but it would be full time. But yeah, no, it was great. I mean, I started as a temp in 2009, uh, right before the archive launched, and there were very little expectations because these were all titles that they had Warner had determined would not sell on a shelf, at a Blockbuster, well, not a Blockbuster, or like a Walmart or, a Target. And then they were able to release them just online. So,
how did they decide that? Because I mean, anybody goes to the archive and sees that the movies that you guys are releasing, I'm sure they'd be sitting there clawing at the screen, going like, "Why isn't this on the shelf?" Because I would definitely go down there and buy it.
yeah, and you're right, right? Like, but it's kind of a sales and expectations of sort of a two-way street, right? Like we could Warner Brothers certainly would be more than happy to put huge, large, expensive deluxe sets on the shelves everywhere in America. But if a Walmart or a Barnes and Noble doesn't want to carry it, then that's uh, can't we can't sell it that way. And
Uh-huh.
so, again, like the height of the disc industry was around 2006 or seven. I think maybe 2004 might have been the greatest sales. But in the mid, but it started to become obvious that um, you know streaming was like right around the corner as kind of a threat. And so it was a good business decision. Somebody in the had read this book, this sort of infamous book called The Long Tail, and it talked about how digital distribution would allow for almost like an everything library, right? And um, and that was part of how the strategy that they were pursuing. But the guy who wrote that book later came out and said I was totally wrong, and that it actually there became more of a tightening up, and he started kind of you know uh, using streaming as an example. But I'm like, I wanted to write the guy a letter and be like, no, 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 your book is why I got a job. and,
Right.
and and we really did, right? As you said, 3,700 titles. Like, how many of those would have been released on disc if we weren't there? 100 maybe,
Oh,
like, and they didn't sell. So if you are a fan of physical media, we were the only studio that didn't really fully abandon the beyond new releases or some large collectible sets. Uh, the field is still dominated by third parties, right? That's just the way
Right,
it is.
the boutique stuff.
Yeah.
Though Warner Brothers did put out some really, really nice box sets for their 100th anniversary.
Oh,
Crazy.
absolutely. And
I mean,
and
they're all
oops,
like
that's my face.
Criterion level releases.
Yeah, and one of the fun things is that the teams, right? Because we were doing all these like archive releases, and also the money coming in from streaming allowed for all these great 4K scans, right? That wouldn't have been done on very high-end equipment done by top people in the field, and the the Blu-rays. A lot of our Blu-rays starting around like 2018ish. Those were kind of came out of that. First, there was also a preservation program, and money from streaming. But also, the preservation program was incredible because they had been. Oops, there's my face. They realized that a lot of stuff was starting to deteriorate, especially with like video libraries. And so they went into all the old video masters and kind of, like, because the equipment was breaking down, and digitized those at an HD level. So even if they didn't have the rights to release those necessarily in home video, especially like old TV programs with certain music, they were able to scan them at the very least to, like have them in the library in case they become available at a later date, right? You got to take a long view with library. What's available today or with the technologies today, you don't know what's, going to happen in the future. Like, are they going to, beam stuff into your eyeballs or whatever? I mean, we don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. There's another gentleman in our community here. His name is Ken. He has a channel called Mid Level Media, and he still gets service. I mean, you probably know. Do you know who he is?
Oh, no, but I'm nodding because I'm like, oh, think I know where this is going. But
Um,
yeah, I'm very curious.
he has a really tremendous collection, and he gets serviced by a lot of different companies and whatnot. But he gets so many coming in, and
Yeah.
I was sitting there, and I'm sitting there watching. Someone asked us, "Why do you get so many movies when you can't even probably be able to watch half the ones that you
Oh,
have?"
yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
before you hear that, and you go like, "Yeah, why is that?" And then he broke it down, Matt, and I've
Mm-hmm.
commented on this before recently, but I really, I never thought I'd say this, but I really believe he has a point.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, it might not be here in 10 years.
Yeah.
To go out there buy the physical copies, it might be gone. What we
That's
have. I mean, maybe we do have videos on demand, but maybe we don't. Maybe we don't have that anymore. Maybe it is going to be all 100% streaming. And so
so.
he says that even though
Yeah.
some of the movies he gets are really just the cheesiest of the cheese, he still wants to be able to have it and still be able to have the option to watch what he wants when he wants to watch it.
and and also you can lend it out, right? Like someone else may want it, right? Like that's physical has a there's a value to being able to hold something and to share it, right? You can't
Yeah,
when you own something on digital, even if you pay to own it, you're really just licensing it. It can always be taken away. Which there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like people would listen to the radio for years. There's nothing wrong with that, right? It's just a different format. But if you wanted to own the album or the tape, then you had that, and that was an option.
sure.
What you're talking about, also library wise, I've been talking to a lot of and it's like some people can't quite even understand this niche, but people who are into VHS libraries. And there's a VHS only store in Los Angeles that you can
There's
go
one
and
in the
rent stuff.
UK. There's one in the
Yeah,
UK as well.
yeah, they're incredible. And what they say is they're like not doing it necessarily just for nostalgia, but first of all, people are still releasing VHS, right? Like it's a format that is not dead. But also, there's stuff that came out on VHS that literally will not ever come out on any other format because of licensing. You just that's it, right? And if you want to see that, yeah, you can maybe see somebody, ripped it, maybe posted it on YouTube or whatever. But if you want the original commercial release of it, you have to have it on VHS. So
Wow. I did not know about the VHS store.
yeah, and it's like, and it just like kind of wraps your head around like an understanding, like with a library, even if it's your personal library, what a library is a repository, right? And you don't know what you're gonna need it for until you need it down the line, or someone else needs it, right? Like uh, that's the nature of the library. Warner Brothers, interestingly, like they, it took them a while, like historically, to really truly understand and value their library. And once they kind of did, right? Once they started really making a lot of money on it, they started moving a lot of their historic assets to now it's a series of salt caves in the U.S. Johnny Carson was the first one to do this with his videotapes of the Tonight Show, and the first company that did this, they did for the U.S. government, but like in Lawrence, well, it's outside of Lawrence, it's like central Kansas, but their salt caves are underground, they're low moisture, and they have a continuous like temperature, and they're perfect for film and video elements to be stored, and it's like a bomb shelter, right?
Right.
Like that.
But
Like that's
but those cases protect your disc anyway. I mean, if you have a if you have a case and you don't have it in
well,
you don't bake it out in the sun,
yeah.
in theory it'll last forever.
Yeah, that's for commercial. These are like elements like the original camera negative to films and audio elements and stuff because those. But commercial, here's another weird little fact. Yes, mostly right. They can survive for a long time, but every once in a while there's like some weird defect, right? Like there was a defect in DVD manufacturing in the mid 2000s where it turned out that the laminate being used by certain manufacturers started to come apart
Yeah,
and
Sony. That
split.
happened to
And
Sony.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was called like disc rot, right? And nobody intended that, right? But it was a byproduct of manufacturing. So also like no matter what you do, sometimes, like there's just defective
I,
media.
I think I only had kind of all the I can't even. I mean, you must have serviced me at least between 200 to 300, if not
Yeah,
more.
you gotta you were, but you reviewed everything. That was my
I did.
requirement.
I did. I reviewed everything.
You did.
Yep. I asked for it. I reviewed it. Um, but I think I only had two movies that ever went belly up on me that I got just didn't work. Um, and that
Yeah,
was, I mean, that's really, really good considering the number of releases that you serviced me with, and I still have today. They're in perfect shape. They're in
it,
absolutely perfect shape.
very early on, because especially the DVDs were manufactured on demand, and it's like a DVD-R technology, but it wasn't. It was like a specialized version of it, but a lot of consumers thought it was like we had like two guys in the basement, like running their Windows machine, making copies, and slapping them in a box. But it wasn't that, but it was new, and people were worried that they wouldn't last. But yeah, no, these discs, like the oldest discs, are now like 15 years old, and they're fine. But
Yeah,
again, as you said, like sometimes they get scratched, or you know,
sure.
you'll get one that's like sometimes there's a defect, right? And then we
Right.
we tried to if you had a disc that was defective, we
You
exchange
replace
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's it's good business practice, right?
Yeah. Yes. Uh, uh, just yeah. I mean, I just think I think maybe what we're seeing now. I think the archive. I mean, they could be, the prototypical way for physical media to survive, and that will be to be on strictly on demand. Uh, and
And
as long as they don't try, like, that's the bad thing about going to a third party, like you mentioning, like giving their movies to a Shout Factory or maybe Vinegar Syndrome or what have you, Criterion. The only bad thing about that to me is that they will charge those boutique labels will charge a lot of money for it, and that's just really, that's one good thing about the archive was, I mean, short of box sets or TV series, most of the releases that you released, even on Blu-ray, ran between as little as 13.99 to like 22 or 23.99 for new release.
yeah,
This is
and we had sales.
yeah. Oh, and the famous 4 for 11 sale. Um,
4 for 44. That was our
yeah.
big
Um,
innovation.
I
The
now did you see? I commented before you got here. I seen what I really liked. What I liked about it was, the 11, the 4 for 44, but not everybody could afford four, and so, but that was the deal. Is you got to buy four in order to get the deal. And I just feel like now it'd be really, it would behoove, if you're going to do that, like let people get 2 for 22. You're still getting money. You're still getting paid.
yeah, so the manufactured on demand method that we had, which was actually more assembly on demand, because only some of them are regular discs. All the Blu-rays are regular Blu-rays, but the by not carrying an inventory, it's like it's like Toyota, right? Like just in time delivery of auto parts and stuff like that. It was like business school stuff. And so by not holding inventory, we didn't have to forecast, right? So, but because they were not mass produced, because they weren't going to go on every Walmart and returns were coming, the per unit cost was higher, right? So like and because so you could only get it down so much. And when we controlled the WB shop, or I mean I'm not there, but corporate things changed over time. But the people who made the discs and marketing, and then the store, it was all kind of under one roof, and so we were able to control and try to optimize the pricing. But when we launched Warner Brothers' first streaming service 10 years ago, um, we saw that the advantage there was like, if you pay like $10 a month for streaming, we try to get the masters that we were having on there, but it was like kind of one price. So if you couldn't afford a lot of discs, you could afford that. But that business plan didn't work out as well, because uh, they did some internal reorganization, and a different group of people went on to form what is now Max. It is the descendants of the Warner Archive streaming service.
Isn't that something that your department, of all the departments at Warner Brothers, your department was probably one of the very few that made money hand over fist. I was like everybody. I mean, there was almost like pure profit.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we operated with a different ethos, right? Because we were dealing with what was considered. Oh, there's a loud car. Um, we were dealing with what was considered unsellable, right? Like, we're not unsellable, but just like it was, it was like we were the last stop, at first. Um, and so anything that we could do experimentally, right, became, and as long as we made more than we spent, that's profit, right? And but the rest of the company was in what's I called the hit business, because you can afford, when you have like one hit that like Harry Potter, or any hit like The Hangover. I remember when we first started out, I think we made like in our like second year or third year, we hit like $20 million. We were like, yay, we worked really hard and we earned $20 million. And The Hangover, like on digital downloads, did $20 million of business in like 3 months. And we were like, oh, okay, that's like the difference. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I
between
truly, I
the hits
truly just,
business.
I really, truly don't get that. I mean, myself, it boggles my mind that you will go out there and throw down $20 or $25 to watch a streaming movie that you can't own, that you don't own, and you sit there and you get it for infinite
Oh,
amount, you get it for a
yeah.
finite amount of time.
It, yeah. I mean,
Blows,
but
blows
it's
my
like
mind.
blockbuster rentals, like there are just a lot of people who, I mean, it's fine, right? Like that's a way that, however you consume entertainment, I'm okay with it, right? But there's different, there are just different ways to do it, and some people don't. They like turning on a cooking channel, and they don't cook. They just sit and watch it, and that's their thing, right? I'm not that person, but
No, me
if somebody wants to cook for me, I'll eat it. Thank you.
yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, I get it. I mean, I watch Tubi once in a while. I'll throw Tubi on there. It's a streaming service. I'll watch it. But I mean,
Tubi's
it's
got some weird stuff on it.
my preference is just it's so
Yeah,
overwhelmingly physical. Um,
yeah.
and that's just how it is.
Well,
Now we've seen the directors are now they're starting to I mean, they made noise about it before, but
yeah,
they're really starting to make a lot of noise about the fact that we want physical media, we want our stuff to be released.
and
um I
we
don't know if
should.
they'll be able to. I don't know if they'll be able to force it back onto the store shelves or not. I thought Disney might try to make that run at it, but you know,
Yeah, we'll see. Here's something that I saw in my lifetime that amazed me was when vinyl started to appear at Target, right? Like I'm like, what happened?
yeah,
Like that was crazy. And it was selling, right? Like,
yeah.
okay, great. Like that, kudos. I'm like, I don't
It's
know how
funny.
you did it.
Here comes vinyl coming back, and
Yeah,
right on the heels of that, here comes cassette tapes coming
yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And what format is deader than a doornail? CDs.
Yeah. Well, they're still selling them. They still sell. It's also
Mhm.
like people, you know. Um, I also collect dead formats because I'm insane.
Yeah.
I have a lovely collection of HD DVDs. If you ever want a copy of Alexander, and a very large and heavy collection of CEDs, which was a format from like 1980, the end of 80 to 84. RCA released them. They were vinyl discs with movies on them.
Right.
It wasn't
Right.
a
I
laser.
remember.
It was like the same era, and I love them because they have it's like a vinyl. It's vinyl with a diamond stylus, and it's got hisses and pops and scratches just like vinyl, but it's with the movie.
Uh, I've been wanting to ask you this one question for so long, but I'll
Sure,
ask it
sure.
now. And that is, how many movies do you own in your own personal collection?
I don't know. And also, due to the pandemic, um, they closed the building that we used to work at. And my coworker, Dan, who was on the podcast with me, the Warner Archive podcast, we tried to empty as much as we could of all like the sample discs that we had, like the promo discs. But we probably left like I probably have a few thousand. I mean, I don't know, more than that. Probably like four. I mean, but it's all over. I don't know. I try to when I give them to people as gifts, they're like, they look at me like, you get these for free, but I don't. Not all of them. I buy them. They're fun.
My God, who
It's a
care?
fun
Who
hobby.
cares?
Yeah,
Who cares if you get it for free? More power to you. I mean,
I
sheesh.
I once got somebody, like get access to, or I'd find good sales, or even, I'd trade with people in other companies, for Blu-rays. And I'd bring, like for Christmas, I'd be like, oh, here's some Blu-rays. And like, I don't have a Blu-ray player. I just have a DVD. And I'd be like, okay. And then I'm looking at their player and I'm like, this is a Blu-ray player. Like, and I pop in and just, they didn't even, some people don't even know. Like, they didn't know they had a Blu-ray player. So,
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I reached out to you was in the last 3 years, I produced, and it just came out, a very small micro budget film myself. And
yeah, we're gonna let's get chopped up. Let's chop it up.
Yeah,
Lunamancer.
And just to
movie.
make this, thank you, and to make it relevant, and it wound up taking me a long time. I just literally finished authoring the Blu-ray yesterday.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh, I can author the Blu-ray. I used to work on this, DVDs, but all the software disappeared. And I had to learn a piece of software from China, because like all the software I used to use, there's still the Sony software, but it's very, very expensive. Patent trolls had come after them. So it's even hard to author the discs now. But I managed to teach myself this whole new language, got the menus up. I have a commentary track on it with Lunamancer. And I also did, because we made a VHS of Lunamancer in beautiful 4x3.
How many copies did you make?
25 so far. We have 25 copies available. And it's funny because I went to the VHS store with them, and we're gonna premiere. The Los Angeles premiere is going to be in VHS on January 24th. You're the first person I've told. I just put down, just got the date logged in, got the theater, put down my date. And
what theater are you gonna show it at?
Well, it's called Whammy. It is a VHS only store that I was talking about.
Oh, the store. Okay. So
and they have a theater in there.
Oh, they do. Oh yeah. God. So they have a store combo theater.
Yes.
It's amazing. The VHS. That's hot.
Yeah, it's fun. But it's all physical media, right? And they've got zines and stuff, and like just people, and they have all these analog TVs. And
I miss zines, don't you?
Yeah, no, me. Yeah, I'm like, this is like my store. I got my start in zines. That was my beautiful beginning of my desktop publishing career on it. I was in high school and I made them on an Apple IIe with a dot matrix printer.
My God, that's almost like Jurassic Park almost.
But
back then, that Apple IIe, man, that was state of the art.
Oh, it was the Apple IIe was it was a green screen. And I made a gaming magazine, and then in college I learned how to do desktop publishing in Photoshop, and then I did the college humor paper, and then I learned how to program at the web, and then I started making websites, and then here I am today. Yay. Just authored my first Blu-ray.
Now let's go back a little bit though before the archive. So tell us a little bit about where were you born and raised at, Matt? I mean, were you always a California kid or
no? I grew up in lovely New Jersey, just outside Manhattan, and I went to school, went to college at beautiful Poughkeepsie, New York, at Vassar College, and I was walking home one day at like 2 a.m, and it was super cold. And I said, as an adult, I don't have to deal with this crap. And I moved to California after graduation without ever visiting there. Still there.
Yeah.
That's
any regrets?
Like I didn't quite understand what I was doing, by making a rash decision like that. Probably would have been maybe a little better off at the beginning in New York, but I really, within a few years of being in LA, and I started. I was a production assistant on a number of films, like low budget films. I learned a lot about filmmaking, and then I crossed over into writing and computer stuff, and started doing TV writing, and I wrote a documentary about the MPAA called "This Film Is Not Yet Rated." I co-wrote that. That was kind of fun, and then I learned Flash animation, and that got me the job at Warner Brothers, and then I started there as a graphic designer, and then got into marketing because I knew and was passionate about basically recontextualizing, helping people understand the value of catalog. That was like I never imagined that it was a hobby kind of thing. And then I combined my graphic arts and marketing skills, and I just was in the right place at the right time.
So you always had designs to work behind the camera, but you did find yourself on camera. I noticed on here you appeared as the devil in
Yes.
in a Warlock movie with Julian Sands.
Yes, I absolutely. That was the very first film I worked on. That's my dog. He wants me to stare at him. I had just moved to LA, and my friend was going to grad school, and he said, "Do you want to work on a horror movie? A friend of mine's working on it, and I don't want to." And I said yes. And then I'm a yes and person, and there was one day where the stuntman, he had originally Satan was supposed to come out of a hole full of liquid nitrogen, and he sucked down too much oxygen and had to be taken away in an ambulance. And so
the stuntman did.
Yeah, the stuntman got taken away in an ambulance, and so then the producer of the film was like, "Oh, well, what are we gonna do?" And the makeup special effects guy said, "Well, let's just use dry ice and match the size of the costume." And so they put me in the Satan costume, and for 2 days, I played Satan. My first professional directing experience was the producer of the film started yelling at me, and he said, "Okay, you've been stuck in hell for like 2,000 years, and these kids come and they summon you out, and you see the light, you come out, but then they turn on these pickup lights, and you see them, and the light is too strong, and you go back down to hell, and you die. Okay, action."
Wait a minute. So the devil comes out of the hole.
Yeah,
It's the first time to walk on the earth in 2,000 years.
Yeah,
and the lights are too strong for him, so he's got to go back to hell.
Well, because of the hero uses his telekinetic witch powers to pull the lights on his pickup truck, and the light of the pickup truck is too strong for Satan.
Oh my! I didn't know Satan was a vampire.
Well, Satan doesn't tell you a lot of these things. In the very same scene, not only was I Satan, I stunt doubled for Julian Sands, R.I.P. By the way, Julian, up in the mountains.
Yeah.
And
that happened about a year ago now. Remember, I think it was about a year.
He was an interesting guy, very weird in person too. And there's a Blu-ray for the Warlock movies where he apologizes to some of the crew. This is like 15, 20 years later, because he said he was doing the method, and so he was being the devil to all of us.
Oh, okay. So he was apologizing for his performance.
I was like the lowest person on the totem pole, and this is my one good Julian Sands story. And I was working with the second unit, hence where I was Satan, and we were doing crane shots, right? And in front of a green screen, and I was Julian Sands. I'm much shorter than him, look nothing like him, but I was his very convenient, low-paid, less than minimum wage stand-in for a lot of the stuff because I said, yeah, sure, put wires on me. This will be fun. And then I'm
Sure.
like, ow. Because it hurts.
Yeah.
And like your legs. And I had read that and then I experienced it and I go, oh, they're right. And so they were like, okay, well, it's your turn to go get Julian. I don't want to do it, Matt. You got to go get him. And I go, why? And they're like,
Nobody wanted to go get him from his trailer?
just do it. Yeah, no, nobody did. And he had his own trailer, and it was like this black trailer with like a satellite dish on it, right? Everybody, this is like a $3 million movie, but he had a nice trailer. And so I go up to his trailer, you know, I got my walkie and stuff, and they're like, okay, Matt, you gotta do this. And I'm like, okay, so like, knock, knock, knock. And I hear, rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, what was that? What? And then I hit knock, knock, knock. And then I just hear, come in. And I'm like, oh. I open up the door and I stick my head in and I'm like, and then he just stares back at me, right? And he's like all the way at the back of the trailer, like in his Satan costume, like just reading a script. And he just looks at me, doesn't say a word. And so I go, Julian, we're putting you up in the harness on stage 3, so come on down. And then I start doing like a little dance. And then he just looks and then he goes, ha 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 ha. And then I ran out.
So you made him laugh.
I did, but it was
That's
like
good.
laughing. It was scary.
Oh.
But yeah, no, that was my one Julian Sands story. So
my God.
He was intimidating.
So when you were doing that, I mean, did you? I mean, obviously, I mean, you know, would it safe to say that you know that you wanted to come out to California to get into the movie?
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, I was up for what, you know, I got a film degree and I was like, oh sure, yeah, I'll be a PA. Like I'd never been on a professional set. Did I? You know, I had made student films, but I was never, you know, trained like. You know, I mean, I learned, you know, like what a best boy was because I had to go get them coffee, and I learned.
Yeah, I always wanted to know what I always wanted to know what a best boy was. Anyway,
he is one of the lead electricians. See, I learned that, and I learned that the effects guys are weird and they tell you stories about people blowing up, and like the transpo drivers are nice and they'll think it's funny. They'll be like, try to see how big of a truck I could drive without crashing it. That was terrifying. And and then like I would accidentally wander into a shot every once in a while. Oh, I also learned if you ever watch Warlock 2, there's like a squirrel that is like controlled through telekinesis or something. That squirrel was paid more in one day than I was for 4 weeks. But the squirrel did perform. That squirrel did a good job. Yeah,
it's a good thing. It's a good thing now that you're an indie film producer, you know, screenwriter. Now that you know that, now you can pay all your talent top dollar because you know what it's like.
Yeah, I paid people. I actually did pay people because I'm like, I just feel I can't make you work for free. I mean, it's just, you know, I'm not a good producer because I don't make money yet. We'll see if I make money. If people buy Lunamancer is a fun. It's an interesting film. It's 71 minutes of a guy who is kind of haunted by the disappearance of his sister, and like a machine goes back to his hometown in upstate New York, near where I went to school, and finds out that she's been kidnapped by a Lunamancer, and it's like this guy's like kind of a magic user of some kind, and he does not have magic, but he does have a crowbar, and he
a pair of crowbars.
Fight, yeah, and then a second crowbar, and we don't, you know, we chose like not to use like voiceover or anything, so. It's like it's not a lot of dialogue, and it's a very weird story about like is this all real? Is this in his head? You know, magic and mystery.
And how are you? Thank you. I'm checking in the chat so far. Our friend Brene is here with us, and our fellow film, one of my fellow film cinephile friends, Dell on movies is here. We are talking to Matt Patterson. He is a screenwriter. The film Lunamancer, and you've also directed a couple of things as well. I called you a film director because you got a couple of films you directed underneath your belt.
Sure,
These are,
sure.
this is all new to me because when you and
I
I
don't
talk,
talk about these.
yeah,
Yeah,
when you and I talk,
I
we
worked
always
at
talk
Warner
about the
Brothers.
movie.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yes.
had no idea, though I do remember asking you to interview with me on my blog.
Uh-huh.
I do remember
Yeah.
that when I got 8 questions up and going. I do remember. I said, "Yeah, I want to talk to Matt." Uh, uh, but I've discovered one thing. I've discovered that people that work for the studios, like in distributing, they're very, very camera shy. They're
Yeah,
very
no,
camera shy.
people. I I like. Some people felt I liked getting up and talking a little too much.
No, you're doing well. No, I was trying to get Peter Castro from Bayview. I've been trying to
Oh
get
yeah,
him on. I finally got him on, and then I was
that's
trying to
fun.
get then I got Peter coming, and then I got Raymond Murray from you might from Art Exploitation.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know them, but yeah, I know the company. Did
Um, yeah, he was it was you and Raymond were my two biggest that supported me as far as that goes.
that's good.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I tried. I've been asking them to come and do interviews, and I also tried to get. I also asked the guy who owns a Wild Eye. I asked him to come
Mm-hmm.
on to do an
Well,
interview.
yeah, releasing, yeah.
I was trying to get a director to come on for the longest time. We couldn't get him on there. People are a little photo shy sometimes.
Well, like, well, when I was an employee of the great company of Warner Brothers, there were a lot of restrictions on what you could say and what you couldn't
Right.
say. I'm well trained, even though I haven't worked for them for 3 years. There's like a little lawyer in my head, you know. But because there's well, especially when you do distribution, right? Uh, the not that you're afraid of getting sued, but the one thing is you don't want to over promise because people listen to podcasts and things, and then they said, "Oh, well, you said this was coming out and it didn't," or like this was going to be this way or come out on a Tuesday, and so what would start to happen because distribution, just like any aspect of filmmaking, is complex and can be difficult. And sometimes you hit a wall, like you can't
Yeah.
clear something, or the elements turn out to be bad, and it doesn't come out, and you just don't want to
No.
make it. I mean, it's about disappointment, right? More than
I
anything else.
remember I remember people my for us we were able to basically pick the movies that we wanted to watch and review, but there were times where that didn't happen because for various reasons. I remember trying to get Babylon 5, but you were restricted on what you could do or could not do with that
Yep.
release. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so, we
Yeah.
understood that. We knew that
Yeah.
not everything was good. It wasn't a pure candy store where anything that you touched you could review. I mean, you had to go through protocols for that.
There's a lot of hoops, and some of them are understandable. Some of them are you know leftover, right, or unnecessary. I and my personal philosophy was, uh, especially when you're dealing with more edge material, right? Um, and edge material meaning like out to the edges of popularity. Get get these things out far and wide as possible. Get people to talk about it because not just word of mouth, but even like the algorithms start to pick up on that, right? Like Lunamancer. If I keep saying it here, and somebody says it or it's in a text description, right? Let's just say then Google notices it, and then if Google notices it, then IMDb or Amazon notices it, and then it affects the algorithm and it pops up, right? Like just a little bit more, and that's how things get noticed now, right? You're kind of a slave to the algorithm, and it's
Yeah.
not. It's less about gatekeepers and tastemakers as much, unless you're dealing with something very, very popular.
As you probably noticed, I did not do my review of Lunamancer before our interview, but that was by design.
But
I never review a movie before I talk to somebody. I always do it afterward. Yeah.
good,
Well,
yeah.
because I did do that once in front of an interview, and I didn't get the interview because my review was not so wasn't so perky, and so I said, well, that's the last time I do that, and so
That's good.
but not
I
that it means that because I want the
oh
interview.
no.
I want the interview, and it doesn't mean like I'm gonna ever bury a movie afterwards. Like, yeah, I talked to the director, but now I can tell you this movie's shit, and that's never gonna happen.
Well,
That's,
in modern, all right, like modern. Here's the thing: modern criticism, right? What is the role of the critic? And back in like the day with Siskel and Ebert, right? How are you going to know if a movie's worth your time or not, right? You get marketing messages, these big things come at you, and they would just be like thumbs up, thumbs down, two of them together. That's like the lowest form of the internet, like consensus. But it helped give you an idea on what was worth your time. Now, with like 10,000 things coming out, movies and TV shows and streaming, like it's just sorting through everything. So, you can a critic's role really is to help uh, that that sorting process. And so, when you have a small movie, um, you know, hopefully you're reviewing it because you find something interesting about it, right? Like because
oh, I
it's
did.
yeah.
I'll be reviewing. I'll be definitely reviewing Lunamancer for certain.
Oh no, but yeah. I mean, it's just I specifically. I guess I talk as it's funny in my brain. I'm like, whoa, which me am I talking about? As a filmmaker, of course, obviously you want everybody to love your movie and as many people to see it. As a distributor, you just want people to talk, have a conversation and talk about it and pay attention to what you're doing because that's how you get viewers, right? And so podcasts and reviews and websites are part of that ecosystem now where, back in the day it was like, are you on the Today Show? Did Gene
Uh,
Siskel give you a thumbs up? How about,
Rick
Gene
Reed,
Shalit? All the Genes. Rex
yeah,
Reed.
Rick
Rex
Reed,
Reed. Very dependable thumbs up. He was excellent on the Gong Show though. Thumbs up for that.
yes. Well, you asked what the critic's role is. I
Yeah.
can't speak for anybody else in the chat because they're all reviewers.
Yeah.
Mr. Bones, our friend Reed, Dale, they're reviewers as well. I can only tell you what my point of view was. The way I reviewed film is would I buy this film? That's
Yeah.
what I would do.
Yeah.
That's how I
That's a
view
good
this. Like what
criterion.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing was could I recommend someone to buy this? Can I recommend someone to buy
Yeah.
this film? That was my job. Not to tell you if it was bad or good, but to tell you if it was worth their money to go out
Worth
there
your
and
money.
buy it. And that's how I approached it. I'm not a professional critic. I can't go out there and write 1,000 words like in Rolling Stone about a movie. I can tell you, I can break it down in a few words, or I could take it, like a couple hundred words, or I could do a video and I could explain to you my point of view. If I liked it or not, what I liked it, what I didn't like about it, and what I recommend it. And that's it's pretty simple, black and white for me. But
Mm-hmm.
that was my number one thing was would I buy this film? Would I buy this film? And like with the archives, well, we already know the answer. Yeah, it's very rare that I ever get an archive movie where it was like, oh hell no. I mean, because a lot of them were blind buys. I'm not blind
Ah,
buys, but a lot of them were blind
no.
picks.
Yeah. Yeah. Blind
You
pick.
know,
Look, the fun part about working there, and like out of the number of releases, because I did the podcast, I saw majority of the releases, right? And the fun thing about it was, I always saw that, I mean, there may be a few here and there personally that I was like, but there was always something for somebody, right? And that was a very, fortunately, it was easy for me, right? Like I hear, when we do the podcast, we weren't going to trash our own movie, right? That that wouldn't make any sense. But finding positive things to say wasn't hard. Like it really wasn't.
No. So now, did you start writing Lunamancer while you were still at the archives? I mean, what did you decide you wanted to make your own feature film? Because this is your feature film debut, right? As far as the screenwriter goes.
Yeah, I guess. Noah Mucci, the director, right? I met him through Warner Archive. He had worked with me. He was helping us shoot Comic-Con panels and stuff, and then he actually shot and edited. We did a Warner Brothers 10-year anniversary, like a 6 or 7 minute documentary. I think it's still up on YouTube. I think there's like a 5-minute version up there, which came out really good. And Noah had an idea that he was going to go to upstate New York for 3 months and make a movie. And he took off, and I was like, good luck. And he came back with all this footage and sort of tried to assemble it. And he was like, he had a sense of a story, but I was like, hey, Noah, let's work on this together and like refine it. Because it was like kind of part art movie and part superhero movie, but with Philip K. Dick thrown in. And that really interested me. And so we took a lot of time, like reassembling the story and doing pickups and refining it over and over. And we had a cut that was ready to go, and then the pandemic hit. And so we sat on it, right? And then as the pandemic lifted, we started getting it in to some smaller film festivals as they, as they got back in, and then we had started to pursue some distribution deals, and then last year the streaming market started to collapse, and then we finally found this distributor who would work with us. It took 5 years, I think, to put the whole thing together, like kind of part-time. The journey, we talk about it a bit on our commentary, but it's so convoluted and unusual. I wouldn't recommend it usually you should probably finish the script, shoot it, get it out, move on to the next one. That's how you do well in the business. But if you're a dabbler, it's just really interesting because I was able to learn a lot on my own money.
Now, did you produce Lunamancer too? Did you executive produce it? Was this all?
No.
So let's talk about.
There was a line producer who was there, who we worked with, but I came in and did handle a lot of the financing and distribution, but working with the director Noah was really the primary mover on a lot of this, but because of what I was learning at Warner Brothers, and then once I left Warner Brothers, I'm like, oh, well, let's do this. Let's do it for real, because, distributing, I have a lot of experience in distribution, but I didn't have a lot of experience making, right? And so It's like, well, let's see what it's, let me see what the other side is like, and it's more like a Roger Corman model, right? Well, that would be the better model, but it would be like, because it's we were just trying to do it fast. We did it cheap, but we did not do it fast.
What really impressed me is you got Nikki Klein. Let's see if
Nikki Klein. Yeah, Nikki was.
I mean, that was like, to me, when I saw the movie and I saw her on there, I'm like, man, I know I've seen that face before. I just couldn't pick it up. And then I'm going like, and then I thought, oh, that's right, Battlestar Galactica, and I'm going like, holy shit, he got an actress from Battlestar Galactica on here. That's pretty big.
No. Yeah,
Go ahead.
Noah got her on there because because we shot it north of Albany, and she was in Albany. She is also the subject in some documentaries on HBO in an organization that she was involved in. It's a little controversial. It's but it just like let's see, one of the interesting things with casting, she had great credits and she's really good in the film.
Yes,
She's
sir.
only in it for like 7 minutes. I wish she was in it more.
Yeah.
She's a great actress. And Jake's dad, the lead's dad, he's in one scene, and he has been in some movies before. And you can look that up on IMDb. But he having a father and son, where real life father and son, father who's an actor, where he's playing the character's father who's dead and he may or may not be hallucinating. It's just really fascinating scene that works well because they were really father and son. Those were two experienced actors really experienced actors, I feel, who worked on it, who really added a level of reality to an otherwise a film that it's almost like a fever dream.
I want to say goodnight to Chadwick. Thank you so much for coming in, Chadwick. I really appreciate you. Thank you for coming in and supporting the interview. I really do appreciate it. He just rolled out his first film called Malcolm. Yes, so that's he's on his way up as well. He's doing
it's a process.
It is a process. What you mentioned this. You mentioned the runtime of the movie. Now, when you wrote the script, did you see it? You didn't see it as just a 70-minute movie, right? Did you think that it would be like a 90-minute movie? How did it end up just being 70 minutes versus say 90?
Well, here's the fun part is that initial photography, right? Like when Noah went and shot it, and it was there was we used pretty much almost every piece. I mean, like frightening amount of footage that was shot winds up being on the film. We didn't cut a lot, and it wasn't meant to be a short, but it was meant to be a short film. And from working at Warner Archive, I learned the magic of the B picture, and I love 70-minute films. I feel that they can fly. And this film, again, not a lot of dialogue, a lot of moodiness, and but we also have this like crazy ass soundtrack, and I feel that if it was like 20 more minutes, it would have been. I mean, we would have needed to have either some more big story elements, or it just would have been people walking around. It's like, I love the idea of enough is enough. It's a feature, get in and get out. And that really all came from, especially watching like B movies from the 30s through the 50s, and what you can do with that format, and how you can tell an effective and almost sometimes a more experimental story, and keep the audience with you, right? It's about coming in and getting out at the right time and not overstaying your welcome.
Now, what was it like co-writing the story with Noah? I mean,
it was a very unusual process because Noah had a script, and it was a good script, and it was, but we rewrote it, right? And it was like scene by scene rewrite, and again, this is my perspective on it. I would almost interview Noah about his intentions, right? And he would have these weird shots. And I'd be like, why do you have this shot of the main character looking at his hand? And he's like, oh, well, I just thought it was interesting. And I'm like, it's not in the script. And so I'm like, okay, that's part of his mystical connection with his sister. And so then we did more shoots and reshoots, and we focused in on that. It was just a really roundabout process. Again, nothing I would recommend. No screenwriting book would ever recommend doing what we did. Don't do it. It took a long time.
mean, I read where some, where this movie was looked at as a origin movie. Like you're writing an origin story for your main character, for him to advance forward in the story.
Yeah.
Now is that what how people perceive that, or did you actually write that in mind? Like, okay, I'm going to create a character, and because a lot of people say this is sort of a little bit of a superhero type movie. Um,
Yeah, it could be, right? We don't. We honestly don't know what happened to the character. He's so in my head. He's stuck in the world of the dead. It's like the Persephone myth, you know. Like he's he's replaced. I'm spoiler. He's replaced his sister in hell, right? Like in a way, but that's not the one way that you can read it. That's my way of seeing it, but other people don't. But it's metaphorical, right? It's like about the underworld and sacrifice. But is there a place to go? Yeah, he he's a our main character, like a film noir hero, is not a good investigator, right? Like he just pushes and pushes and pushes without thinking, and makes he gets a result he wants, but at a cost that's very very high. And so, does he have more to learn? Absolutely. Well, will it be shot? Well, we'll see how this film does.
Um, if you don't mind me asking you, Matt, but what
Sure.
was your budget for this film?
Um, my target was a 1 Bitcoin.
Was it what? Was
That
what?
one whole Bitcoin. That was my joke with Noah. I said I'm
Oh,
going to invest the equivalent of 1 Bitcoin, but the price has gone up and down. But it's a little more than it was a little more than a Bitcoin at today's prices.
okay. So I
It
mean,
was definitely under
the reason
50.
I ask is like, if I mean, the lower the movie is, obviously the better chance you have on
Yeah.
recouping your investment. Um, so how are you with your distributing background? Now here you are a screenwriter. Now with your distributing background, how are you going to market your movie?
Well, good. I'm here. That's a good thing.
Yeah, yes, it is.
I'm making physical because a lot of my background is in physical media distribution. So I got to get this Blu-ray out in people's hands because I'm aiming for a lot that market. Like for filmmakers, it's good to embrace that, and I hope I'm just hoping that people find it organically, right? And we've gone to festivals. We have a distributor who's taken it to AFM. It's now in it's on Google Play. It's on Amazon. It's in Ireland, England,
But it's not
Australia.
it's not in stores.
It's not in stores. No, I've
This is absolutely ironical. You and I are talking that way when that's how you and I met, because of physical media, and here we are talking about how
well,
there's no outlet for it now.
it's I mean we are this is why I have the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray will be available through the same distribution channel as Warner Archive through Allied Vom, and they're going to be it's going to be on Amazon. So it will be hopefully within the next month or so it'll be up and available online as physical media. You get the
Yeah.
VHS through me through Lunamancer.com. I have
Okay.
those.
Okay. Okay. So VHS goes to lunamaster.com. The
Lunamancer,
Blu-ray
yeah.
will go through
Probably
Amazon.
Amazon, yeah, you can get that there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So did you enjoy the process of making the movie? I mean, was it was it something that
Yeah.
you thoroughly enjoyed? I mean, what had changed? What had changed in as far as making a film that you recognize from your first set, which was the Warlock Armageddon? What had changed? What did you notice had changed between working on a set in
Okay.
2004, say, versus
Yeah.
a set now?
I mean, the technology is totally
Yeah.
different, right? And you can make a film with a good film with a much smaller crew. And if you have a good idea and a good vision, you can carry it through, right? And again, the movie cost us less than it was like $30,000 or so, and
Really
like
good.
it's and Warlock 2 was over 3 million, right, in '90s dollars, and you can't it's just the fact that you can make. I mean, again, it's not Warlock 2 had a lot of great people working on it, wonderful physical effects, but it was tiny Um, yeah, it's just so different. I mean, but it's fascinating. It's interesting and a wonderful thing. I hope it would be interesting to make money from it. But we'll
I
see.
think you have a very, I think you, I really think you have a great chance to make money at it. I mean,
Thank you. Yeah,
you know, grassroots
yeah.
promotion, a $30,000, so you're not going to spend that much money on advertising,
That.
and then
Yeah.
you'll go out with Blu-rays. You just have to let people know that you have the Blu-rays. That's probably the only thing you have to worry about. It's like,
PR.
people have to find them. People have to,
Yeah.
so yes. And
Well,
of course, what are you going to play? What's your marketing plan for it? See, and now I'm
you
asking. These are all questions, though, that you
these are
should
good
have.
questions. No, no,
Yeah,
I
because
have
you have
answers.
skills to
Just
do it. I'm very curious. It's like, are you going to incorporate like some of the things you did with the archive, or can you incorporate those same techniques and to push your own film out?
it China, sort of. I mean, like it's you know, here's the thing. I Our distributor, is not the same as WB. It's up to us, like the filmmakers, and as filmmakers with one movie, it's like we don't have a track record, right? So uh, you gotta. It's like it's not like a release day and date process, right? Where it's going to slow and grow, right? And that's like a catalog. I'm treating it like a catalog film, just like we just keep hitting milestones. You keep getting word of mouth, and you keep making it available. And as long as it's available and it's new to people, it's a new film. It's not about like the 2016 election or anything, right? It's kind of timeless, and so I just hope that it can pick up momentum and be discovered. And I think that and I'm trying to do it with as little money as possible, right? That's organic, and it's making headways. I It's charting, hopefully. I mean, we'll see. I say this as a distributor because I actually not the kind of person. I mean, I don't. I've seen so many films come and go. Thousands of films that
Oh,
I don't know, right? But if you don't really talk to a filmmaker, they're like, oh, it's going to be a hit, right? I don't. I honestly don't know that, right? Because it could slip through the cracks, or it could. Somebody could pick it up and discover it, and it just kicks off like a rocket, which would be great.
you know what I don't know if you put this in the final credits or not, but either way, that's one thing I think streaming services could do for a lot of these films is like it's like if a lot of these films, even independent films now are, they're getting away from physical media because of the cost. Um, they feel like they can't make money back, so they'll just go straight to streaming. I think that's a major mistake. I do. I think what happens is like, when you don't put out physical media as an independent
Yeah,
filmmaker, your
yeah.
film has no chance. Your film has zero chance of doing anything. It's so
Well,
rare that if you don't come out with physical media, you just.
I
I mean,
mean,
for every one movie that might make it, 99 will not.
it's a lot of people see my strategy as a little counterintuitive, right? Like they're like, "Why are you making physical media? Why did you make VHS?" And I'm like, "Well, those are marketing points and ways to reach an audience, right?
Mhm.
And showing a physical media audience that understand what they're doing and take it seriously and taking the time to do it. And the expense isn't all that great, relatively. Like it's just that people who are not in the distribution, like or in physical media, they don't understand the passion of the fans, and and that passion. If people start buying, like even if we sell a few hundred, right? Let's say we sell a few hundred copies on Blu-ray, that's enough. And that's enough to lift it up and make people notice because they're like, well, why are people
Sure.
spending money on this Blu-ray, right? And then
Yeah.
200 sales on Blu-ray could lead to 2,000 rentals, right? And so then let's say we get $1 rental. Well, then that's $2,000 in our pocket, right? And because our budget's so small, then we hit that. Once we hit the level and we can start making money, then you can make another one. That's the
Right.
that's the business, and
That's
it's
the goal.
about
The goal is to recoup your money,
yeah,
make a little money, and then use
Yeah.
that to launch. Because if you go to investors or financiers or executive producing, and you sit there and
That's
say,
exactly
"Yeah,
it.
I made a $30,000 film, and I made $80,000 profit." Boy, you're gonna have people coming knocking on your door. They're gonna sit there and say, "How'd you do that?" All right, obviously you know how. Obviously you wrote a good enough story. The people really responded to the movie. Next thing you know, you made that money, you made a little bit of profit. Your cast got paid. It's good word of mouth out there, for sure. Um, I think it's great that you got someone like Nikki to come in there. It's like I said. I mean, is she a household name? Not necessarily, but your movie is science fiction, and that's her wheelhouse. People know who she is. Like when I saw her, and I'm like, I know I've seen her before, and I'm thinking, when I saw Battlestar Galactica, I'm going like, oh, that's right, that's where I remember her from. So uh, ah, we'll see if he can come back here. Yeah, so Lunamancer will be coming out here shortly. Matt had mentioned that he was going to go ahead and he's writing the final. Yes, we lost him. We lost him in the archive. Um, uh, uh, he said that he's going to be making. He's just finished up the Blu-ray with Blu-ray. He just finished writing the Blu-ray. So now I'm sure it's just all about finding a cover and finding. There you go. Welcome back. Welcome back. We won't keep you much longer, Matt.
I'm having
Uh,
connection issues.
okay. You know what? I tell you what. We'll go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank you for coming out here and showing your face and talking movies with
Oh,
us. We look forward
crap.
to talk.
I think I got.
I'm going to be trying to reach out to. I'm definitely going to try to be reaching out to your co-writer. I definitely want to do that. I definitely want to talk to. I definitely want to talk to him, and of course, we would definitely want to talk to Nikki, and see if she'll come out on here and bend our ear with us. I really like to talk to her because I love Battlestar Galactica. Um, but thank you so much. Thank you so much for your friendship over the years too. I know you. I'm just saying this, even though I lost you. Thank you for your friendship too, man. I really appreciate it. You did so much for my blog. You did so much for me in a really bad time, in a really bad spot. I really do appreciate that. We're gonna try to get him in one more time. Yeah. Thanks again for everything you did for us, Matt. That's for sure. I mean, you and I met. You and I
Oh,
met at.
all right. Well,
You and I met.
I think
No,
that's
you and
it
I
because
met.
I think I can't connect anymore.
Okay.
Internet.
Go
I
go ahead.
blame
You
you.
can go.
Goodbye. Thank
You can go.
you.
Yeah. Yep. Peace. Yeah, I met Matt at a really rough time, and he was a great friend. Not only to me, he encouraged me to write. Like I said, he and I talked a lot of movies. We were big Thin Man fans, Bogey and Bacall, a lot of fun movies. From Hell It Came, creature features, love the creature features. And Matt serviced my channel with a lot of fun movies, and I do miss it. I admit I really do miss reviewing for the archive. Um, but I'm going to look forward to reviewing his movie, Lunamancer, when it comes out. That'll be really fun to. That'll be a lot of fun to watch. I watched it once, but I knew there was going to be a physical release for it. So I'm not sure what his press budget is. So so I'm not sure if that will be if he'll be able to service us in the press. But if not, I'll be looking forward to getting a copy to review. Um, Hi, Caveman. How are you? Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Caveman. I really do. Thank you so much. Um, I think he said it's sometime next month. He just finished writing it. He just finished writing it yesterday, so he's going to be putting it all together, and then he's going to be releasing it. But he'll be releasing the VHS version through lunamancer.com. and then he'll be releasing the Blu-ray version through Amazon. So there are ways to get copies of Lunamancer, and it's a beautiful looking film. He's right. It's like a sci-fi noir movie. Very different, very different. All right, before we get out of here, I'm going to go ahead and tell you some of the stuff we got coming up in January, because we are working hard at January to make sure things go popping. On January 4th, we will be welcoming back Spider Dobrowski. Will be here. He'll be here to talk about his new movie called Down Below. Friday the 5th, we'll be talking to Peter Castro. He works the press for Bayview Entertainment. And he's helped me release some they've released some really fine movies that we reviewed as well. On the 7th of January, we'll be back for the IFC Midnights. We'll be watching and discussing the movie Our House, and that will be at 8 p.m. and that show will be hosted by our good friend Mary Wilson. On January 9th, we will be talking with actress model Heather Fraley will be here with us. On the 10th, we'll be welcoming in actress Grace Juliana. On the 11th of January, we'll be welcoming our good friend Dell on Movies will be here with us at 8 p.m. And then on the 12th, Friday the 12th, we reschedule Ray Murray, the owner of Cinephobia Releasing. I had to reschedule him, and he'll be coming back to visit us on January the 12th. And then on January 17th, we'll see the return of Joe Cornette, director Joe Cornette. He has directed a movie called The Night of the Caregiver, which has really rapidly gained a nice audience. Is doing very well. People talked about Eileen Dietz's performance in the film. She was outstanding, as well as Denise Spurl was also Natalie Denise Spurl also kicked ass in that movie. And so we're going to be talking Westerns with Joe. Joe loves Westerns as I do, and we're going to be talking Western movies on the 17th. We got more coming up, and as soon as I get it down on the calendar, I will definitely let you guys know. Thanks again for coming out. If you, I'll see you tomorrow night. Tomorrow night we'll be here with Nas Red, and that should be another good show as well. Thank you for your support. I really do appreciate it. Have a great night. Peace.